One for one. Oh, am I there? 1 for 1 when I re-add the show.
That was smooth.
Very, very smooth. I'm getting all these texts. I don't know what they're about.
It's probably something about how dare you wear a Seattle Mariners shirt on the eve of the Blue Jays playoff run. How dare you?
It's a pretty sweet shirt. Yeah, my Blue Jay shirt. I wore my Donaldson shirt yesterday. It didn't seem to help. What is going on with my...
And Ryan has
all my microphones are like freaking out on me.
Oh, there we go.
I don't know what's going on.
So, Ryan, thanks for showing up.
What the? Oh my gosh. Okay. I think I angered the technical computer gods on this one. Wow. I've got like all these things coming up on my screen. It's like connected headphones, connected microphone, connected webcam. I'm like, I haven't done anything. I literally can't breathe. So that's fine.
Look, Chris doesn't show up for one show and things just go down the crapper right away.
Everything just falls apart. It's a real shame, actually. Welcome. Oh, integrated camera. I'm not even on the right camera. What is up with that? Okay. This is, folks.
Nothing usually rattles Ryan. Like this is why this is so good. If you don't really know Ryan outside of this, like him and Ted kind of have this same persona, which makes the PP1 podcast such a joy to watch because nothing rattles them. So when you get these like glimpse moments into rattling them, you just savor every second of it. You bring it up, you discuss it, you really highlight the point that Ryan is really flustered right now.
Man,
you lean into it.
Everything on my screen was like error. That's a problem.
It's like Homer Simpson at the plant, right? He's got like one job to do, and then all of a sudden the air buttons are going off, and he's the man in charge. Yeah, somehow he always fixes it.
Yeah,
and then disappears back into the shrub.
Not pretty at all. Like I was trying to say minutes ago. Welcome to That Helps No One FantasyCast on Crier Media. We're back. We're going to be covering some Week 4 football talkings, some wins, some losses. Clearly, I don't even know if you can see it. Brought my Houston Texans helmet for the show. We're going to probably be talking about some Houston Texans on the show. I've got another prop here. I got one crutch.
A random crutch, okay.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about injured players. And yeah, very topical. If you guys want to chat in, you guys were very busy last week. If you guys want to chime in on the YouTube and on Twitch as well, on Crier Media and R&R YouTube, you can, again, do it on Twitter as well. We're not going to respond, unfortunately. But you can leave comments. We like those. Also, follow and subscribe on our YouTube channel. That helps no one FantasyCast. The more people we have on there, the more people we can reach, which means we can eventually give away some free stuff. So we need those numbers. Also, follow us on our Twitter account. Come on, let's start following the Twitter account. There's some good content there. Yes, I am the only one running it, so I'm kind of my own cheerleader on that. But make sure you follow it because again, we got some surprises for you. Maybe we got some guests coming up in the next couple weeks.
Hold on a second. Did you just say that like we've got some really great content on like the channel, but I'm the one who runs it?
But I'm the only one that runs it.
Yeah.
Hey, give ourselves a little pat on the back to start the show here, you know?
Yeah. I'm humble. What can I say? So make sure you check all those out. We will definitely answer your fantasy questions. And obviously Chris isn't here, so we're going to have a lot more time. We're going to have to fill in with jokes somehow. Ted is back from Hawaii.
Yeah, good times.
Let's get into football.
Big gulps, hey?
Big gulps. See you later. A couple things. The footballs were very fun this past week. The holding call on Sunday Night Football. Let's get right into that. That wasn't an ideal call for the referees. An ideal missed call, I should say. It definitely was a Chiefs home game for a few of those calls. I mean, I didn't have a rooting interest either way, and
it's kind of the way it goes, right? It's like the Pittsburgh the Pittsburgh home play, right? Like if it's a holding call or it's 50-50 at all, it's actually 60-40 in Pittsburgh's favor. And
exactly.
And the Chiefs are there. I mean, they've played in the big games. They've got the big offense. It's like if you're going to beat the champ, it can't be a decision, right? It's got to be definitive. And that, unfortunately, that's the way it goes on those types of calls, right? If there's any shadow of a doubt, there wasn't in this one. But it's going to go in the Chiefs' favor. Unfortunately, that's the way it works for Super Bowl champs and ones that continue to be good, and also the Steelers.
You just mentioned, and that slide by Mahomes at the one there. Anybody that knows how football works, I think didn't MJD do that a long time ago? He's like, guys, I'm sorry, I had me in fantasy this week too, but I had to do it for the team. So
MJD, that block on Merriman on repeat.
Yeah, I don't have it loaded up. We don't have enough money to be able to load that anyway. That was big though. Lights out. That was pretty awesome. I enjoyed that slide. We talked about, I don't know if we were joking about it or if we were a little bit low. Derrick Henry is apparently back in the NFL in a big way. He is, I think a few people may have questioned that maybe he's starting to fade a little bit. Like, he had a rough start to the season. I think that's all we can chalk it up to. Derrick Henry clearly showed that he is still the king. And you should not question whether he should be in your lineup. If you have Derrick Henry on your team and you didn't start him this week, shame on you. Shame on you. Maybe you have like CMC and like, I don't know, a chain, and who else? You'd have to have
I wasn't here last week. I'm just going to assume that Derrick Henry was your sneaky start.
Actually, it was. I try to start Najee every week as my sneaky start just to keep it consistent.
Yeah, it was a terrible game plan that Tennessee rung up versus Cleveland the week before on like a stacked line. There was no pass getting through at all. Tannehill wasn't doing a whole lot. You needed to get quick fire off passes, just like the Ravens did to Cleveland last week, right? There was none of that. Couldn't open up the run game at all. Baltimore walks in the very next day and does exactly what Tennessee should have and could have done. But now we're seeing that. I think even when they're going to stack the box against Henry, I think they're going to need to find ways to get him the ball, because you can't do that to him. Unfortunately, you gotta let him run free a little bit and then give him something in the play action that's going to let him go.
And Steve, my boy, cousin Puka, got his first official NFL TD. I think this kid might be legit, even when Cooper does come back. I think we've got a pretty lethal combo. What do you think?
Last week I said if you have Puka, I think this is the perfect time right now to sell as high as possible. Like, you've got a rookie who's, doing unheard of things to start a career. He's looking good. He looks like he's going to be a target. There's probably going to be a role with him once Cooper Kupp gets back. I just don't ever see his value and higher than what it is right now, right? Like,
So how long does that last?
Nobody. Well, that's a good question, because if he's legit and he turns out to be, an RB 1B, let's call it, because you're never going to be a wide receiver 1 over Cooper Kupp.
Right.
Even if he's a wide receiver 2, that's still a lot of value. I just don't know that he has more value now than he ever will, unless Kupp gets hurt again and he becomes the clear-cut number 1, right? Who knows though? Like, now he's getting touchdowns, right? So, sky's the limit for the kid.
Clearly talented.
See him do well. I just there's a little of me that says I don't know that he's going, sustain that for the rest of his career. Who knows?
Yeah, I know exactly what Steve's saying here, and that's the whole be unbiased with your players, right? Like, you're riding a guy on a high. I've heard about first round draft picks going to teams trading for a guy who's got some value in rookie dynasty leagues, in leagues where you have to keep one rook moving forward. I know that's something that our league does. For teams that think they're going to lock it up and think they're maybe one flex receiver away from winning this thing. And if you can get your hands on a first for a guy like Puka Nacua, then you have to consider that for sure, even if he is lighting it up for you on your roster. Absolutely.
Speaking of rookie keepers, guys that you're likely going to be keeping after this season, I brought up that helmet. Looks kind of like a quarterback helmet, I guess. CJ Stroud. Is this guy going to be keeper material? Is this guy again, another question? Is he for real, or is it? Are they real? Or is it for real? Are home runs? What home runs?
Well,
is it for real?
Let's go back last week's show and roll the tape. I mean, who said that maybe this rookie quarterback is going to have like his coming out party against a team in the Steelers who historically just manhandle rookie quarterbacks? I've bought him. I added him, traded for him live on last week's show because I believe in him, and literally in the middle of the sneaky starts. That was kind of a fun one. I drafted him in our league. The only reason I drafted him is because the pick before Bryce Young went to Nick. We're both Alabama guys, and I was so pissed off at him for snaking me on my guy that was right there. It turned out pretty good for me. I think this kid is the real deal. He's not thrown an interception in 4 NFL games. Like,
he looks good.
He's throwing the ball everywhere. Like, let's think about who his top receiver is. Nico Collins. I own Nico Collins in fantasy football last year, and I hate him. But now I want him again because now he's getting somebody to throw him the ball. Like, we just don't see rookie quarterbacks start the first 4 games of their career averaging 300 yards a game passing and never turning the ball over through the air. Like, 6 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, 300 yards a game. That is huge dynasty level keeper value. So if you're looking for a keeper, boys, I got one on the roster. I don't need to start him, but I will.
Would you blow that fab on him?
I would blow all sorts of fab all over him.
Oh man, that's good. What can I just? I can't disagree with any of that, up to and including blowing fab all over him. Yeah, just. I mean, I want to say he's so solid, but that just sounds bad too. He's great. I mean, this guy, he's gonna be the dude out of this draft class. Like, I mean, he's already a top 10 quarterback. I mean, when you think about where Houston was last year and what that offense is doing now with him at the helm, I mean, sky's the limit. The only thing that could hit you up or hit you up a little bit if you're going to be thinking about him as a dynasty keeper on your league is if you've already got a rookie and you can only keep one or something like that. And then you're going to have to make that decision if you've got, Ryan, in your case, a top end, one of the top end running backs in the league, right? I mean, you're going to have to make that call, but like Steve said, you're going to be able to get a little extra for him too. The quarterback thing is always a little bit different. Some guys are really heavy on keeping them. I've always been of the mindset that there's only 2 or 3 per season that you can take, but that's changing now, right? That number is getting bigger and bigger. Mm-hmm. And if you can get away with keeping a rookie quarterback as your dynasty keeper moving forward, I mean, you could be in pretty good shape there heading into the next year.
No kidding. Steve, you actually, we'll get to the other thing in a second here. So you were a little confused as who Josh Dobbs was. Is that correct?
Not that. Yeah, we should probably save that. I don't want to give too much of the show away right now.
Okay, we got a kicker for the end, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Let's wait till sneaky starts until I reveal.
Okay. All right. Okay. Spoiler alert. Oh man. Okay. So we've basically covered, I think, everything up to the start. Now it is time for my favorite part of the show.
Everyone's
Ted,
favorite, actually.
Has Ted seen this new graphic yet? Ted, have you seen the new graphic?
No.
Okay, so this is Ted's first time seeing Thanos stars. Oh, it's our boy Jody Fortson. It's electric, just like Jody.
Love that guy. Freaking love Jody Fortson.
Pretty sick.
We should get a Jody Fortson jersey and then use that as a giveaway.
Yeah, that might be.
Wonder if they
got to respond to me first. Everybody's got to respond to me before any of that can happen. We do have 4 Thanos this week, even though Chris is not here. He's with his daughter in the hospital, getting some, I think, tonsils taken out. And man, it's bad news bears when you're
dealing with tough kids, though. So,
oh my goodness, yeah. You've seen Chris; his kids are like that. They are absolute bulls in china shops. Do not worry about that family; they're going to recover. Probably going to beat up Chris for making him take him to the hospital. So it's actually not a bad idea. I wouldn't mind seeing that. And then we'll ice him after. Like, what? What are you guys doing? Ted, welcome back. You you missed last week's show.
Yeah.
And I feel it's only fair that you go first.
All right. Well, we're going to Dallas for this one. I think we got our boy Hunter Lupke, right? I mean, I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly, but you got all sorts of options there.
Like
it's our boy because he's a Thano boy, right? I mean, so you got Tony Pollard. He's obviously starting at a bunch of rosters. I guarantee you, there's guys out here that are out there starting a Rico Dodell or a Deuce Vaughn, maybe in a flex spot, hoping that one of these guys can vulture a TD from Pollard. But no, they hand it to the fullback. And anytime a fullback scores in this league, he's getting on the Thano, at least in my books. So
in the words of Ted, Hundy P.
Here we go indeed. Lipke, the fullback, is in for the touchdown, his first in the NFL.
That dude's built.
He didn't even have to. The guy's 240. He didn't even have to hit anybody at the line. He just snuck in and got skinny. He was picking up Jerome Bettis teaching techniques there. It was good.
Would you try to get in the way of that guy?
No, I'd get skinny.
No, I would get
as
skinny.
As a tackler, I'd be getting skinny.
Like, oh, that's what you meant. Yeah, I would too. Oh, jeez. Yep.
Yeah, that's a business decision.
Like
that's
a calf injury. Like, oh, I'm dehydrated. Sorry, guys. We're already losing anyway.
That is the ultimate Tremont Williams tackle there, where you're like, nope, business decision. Daddy needs a couple more.
Yeah. Stefan, you're up.
I had never heard of this person, which makes it, I was trying to go this year picking only guys who are rostered in 0% of the leagues. I didn't really think about this too much because I was out hunting. I literally got into service just to say, oh, this is my Thano guy. And a little teaser for you. He will show up in the show one more time, but we got my boy, not our boy, because I picked him, not you, Ted, not you, Ryan. Jaleel McLaughlin, related to Sarah McLaughlin.
You know what? we can he can be our boy because you know why? Family matters.
Yeah, sharing is caring.
It's making some noise. It's 3rd and 7. Wilson gets rid of it to McLaughlin at the 15, up ahead, and he's still going for a touchdown.
I will remember you.
I think we played that for Jody, didn't we?
We did. Throwback.
That was his Achilles injury, I think.
Yeah, I think shortly thereafter, I sponsored a couple dogs.
That's true.
Yeah. But seriously, how bad do the Bears look?
Bad.
I could probably just stream defense
really bad
for the rest of the year.
Like the fact that there's already been talk even before week 4, like, yeah, they should draft a new quarterback. That's early, man. That's really early. You are already giving up on this guy. I mean, you're giving up on the entire team. Let's be honest. They're going to trade away Chase Claypool, which is probably not even notable. But
who wants him?
I don't think anyone. I think he's the only guy that wants to be somewhere, and people are realizing quickly.
This is going to be one of those ones where they literally just have to release him because no one's even going to say, I'll give you a conditional 7th round pick for him. Like, drop him, and then maybe we'll put him on the practice squad just to see if he pans out. But man, is that guy making Canada look bad. What a dummy.
You know how they have like a bag of pucks in hockey? Like a sack of footballs? Trade you for a sack of footballs. All right, those are worth something. Those are balls.
Jug machine balls.
You got to go to New England to get deflated ones.
I pay for the air.
Yeah. I pay for the air. Yeah, we're all paying for air. We all have cars. We're gonna go to Chris, and did he even give us a write up? He just threw a name up. He doesn't even care. He's like, screw you guys, I'm not gonna be here. Josh Wiley, he's the Wiley Coyote this week. You guys want to see the clip?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's show the clip because we don't care.
If it's a clip of Wiley,
you're dead.
He's open.
He is.
Apparently,
what's
we got
with the audio?
We got
the guys at the bar. The guys at the bar, like snacking on beer nuts. Just like, look, he's open there. It
was a good play. It was a good play. We give him that. Derrick Henry gets a touchdown pass out of the deal. So Not bad.
The Titans routinely do this trickery with Derrick Henry. Like, if you go back and look at his stats, I want to say he's thrown for like 5 or 6 touchdowns in his career because they throw him into Wildcat and they're like, oh boy, here we go. Like, let's bring the house on him. And I don't know why it keeps fooling people, but he'll start running and then you see him do his little like jump toss and there's just somebody standing alone because they're like, we need 11 dudes to try to hang on to this guy. Oh wait, we forgot about the rest of the team.
Yeah,
it's because he's bigger than fullback Hunter Lepke. And if they're getting skinny for that guy, then they're going to have to for Henry.
Yeah. Remember when Adrian Peterson came into the league and he just like trucked dudes? Like he hit people harder than the defenders hit him. Like, why would you want to get in front of that? That just wouldn't make sense to me. I don't think I'd be able to get paid enough to get, stomped to the ground.
What a generation of running backs that was between him and Lynch. And
any other ones, Ted? Is that it?
Hey, well, I mean, those were the two scary guys that would just attack you.
Yeah. AP was a thing of beauty. That guy, I mean, you hated him. Obviously, he was on the Vikings, so that wasn't fun for a lot of people. But like, you hated to love that guy because everybody was tuning into what he did. Like, oh, is he going to get another 200 yards today? Is he going to, truck for 100 yards, 100-yard run or something? It was always something with AP. All day, baby. Sold a lot of jerseys. Sold a lot of his jersey, from what I remember. And to me, last but not least, so my guy, he left his S&M dungeon to vulture a TD from Travis Kelce. That's the guy, right? 50 Shades of Grey. That's from the movie. Same guy. Sunday Night Football was definitely getting the Swifty effect, so the Chiefs spread the ball around. And somebody, that 1% out there, I don't know who you are that started them, got 9.4 points. I don't know who those or that person is, but Noah Gray is my Thano this week.
It's the spring 3. Mahomes wide open. It's Noah Gray to the end zone for the touchdown.
Makes no sense.
I would like to promote this Thano pick. I feel like this is a deliberate and uncalled for shot at Jody Fortson.
That's the thing. If he was healthy, that was his ball 100%. We all know that.
Had a free Thano because I permanently claimed any touchdown from Jody Fortson here on out. So I think that's a real low blow move that you threw there, Ryan, and we might have to be friends off for a little while.
Would you say that's like
in the playbook? That play is called the Fortson play, I think.
Oh, well. Probably is.
Jody,
yeah. Like that was.
Imagine, like, some of those like weird like pre-snap calls, like bananas or whatever they're calling, right? They just
Disneyland.
Yeah, like Jody, and everyone's like, oh, here we go. We got it. Like, tight end.
Classic, the New York Bozo.
Yeah. Man, that's a great touchdown. I mean, give him credit. So, 1% of people in Sleeper started him this week, which, I mean, you're just hoping that they're spreading the ball around. Like, you are just, again, same kind of thing for a lot of these guys, but you are just hoping that they score enough points or like, we're going to get it was like me trying to bet a Jody Fortson touchdown in the Super Bowl. It wasn't even a prop, but I tried for it.
It was worth all the money.
I went to like every betting site and no one had it.
I was just talking to a buddy of mine this weekend over it, and I think we're starting to see a lot of these weird starts, like a lot of our like sneaky start style on tight ends because it's such a freaking wasteland. Like you look at the tight ends out there and go by like rankings and it is like all over the place. Nobody's like the clear-cut favorite kind of idea. Like, Mark Andrews just got 2 touchdowns. Your classic guys that you're going to keep. You're going to start Kelce, but it is just all over the place. So like Ted was talking about earlier, why not try a guy who it's like the Chiefs put up a lot of points. They look for a guy like Noah Gray in the end zone. Is it better than me starting Evan Ingram and hoping he catches 7 balls for 60 yards kind of idea? Like, I don't know what the right piece of advice this year is. It is such a crapshoot.
Yeah, when I roll through streaming a tight end for the week, because there's a league where I do that. I'm looking for a guy who is getting a decent amount of snap share, a guy who's starting in the red zone, and he's a guy who's tall. That's basically it. I'm looking for a tall tight end that starts in the red zone, and he's like got a history as a red zone specialist. Like it's a shot in the dark score, and I'm telling you, it works more often than not.
What's your threshold for tallness? Like, what height does a guy have to be?
I'm looking for, like, it'd be nice if I could get like a 6'5" guy or something.
6'5"? Okay, so that's
and not be known as a classic blocking tight end, right?
Okay.
The ex-basketball player, there's a lot of those guys. Making sure you tuck one of those guys in to start.
Yeah. So it's a 6'5". Is there like a
6'5",
weight?
1 reception, 1 yard, 1 TD.
Yeah, and any weight category you're looking for? Does it have to be a chalky?
I'm not too picky at that point.
You just got to be tall.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I like where this is going. So Ted has a type.
Got a type.
Yeah, he's got a type. My tight end is a type. Oh,
heart
man.
Wants what the heart wants.
The heart wants what the heart wants. So now we're going to get into our second favorite part of the show, sneaky starts.
Is it the second favorite?
Oh, I don't know.
Or is it the third favorite?
I mean, I
might like the ads more than the starts, if I'm being completely honest.
I like the starts myself. I'm a starts guy.
Yeah, well, if it wasn't for that, I mean, what would you be starting each week?
That's true. Well, then you still got ads, but like the starts, that's the here and now.
That's how you win the points. You can add as many people as you want, but you don't start the right guy. I like getting those weekly progress reports or like the thing, and it's like least efficient manager, and you just giggle at that dude, and then you're at the top of it, and then the next week you're like, oh yeah, that wasn't that funny because now I'm the least efficient manager.
Yeah. Oh, that's not.
Yeah, or you get the least efficient manager because you like blew your guy out of the water by 60 points, but you had a couple dudes on your bench have big weeks because you have a good bench.
Yeah. It's never good when you lose and your bench beats out like the guy starting roster.
Because I started the guy that only scored 12 points as opposed to the guy that scored 15.
Yeah, or 40. Like, oh, you got 3 touchdowns, like the Ronnie Brown week kind of thing. Like, oh, yeah, exactly. I saw that coming. Before we get into this, I was thinking about this before the show. Who would be the current NFL, like, not safe start, but kind of like a sure thing? Like, no matter what week he's going to deliver, doesn't matter the opponent. Like, is it a guy like, I was thinking like Tyler Lockett, maybe?
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, that would be my pick too.
I was looking at some stats. He was on pace to get like 2,500 receiving yards this year. He kind of slowed down. Call it slowing down this week. I think he had like 85 receiving yards, and that was like half of his average going into the week. Like, it was something ridiculous. Like, sorry, I'm just pulling it up now. 149, 159, 150, 85. I think he's still on pace for 2,300. Like, he is as sure as you can ever get out of a wide receiver right now. It is bonkers what he's doing. And like, against really good defenses. What's that?
Would you say that there's any other, like a couple, like
Diggs would be a guy that I would probably pick as well. Yeah. Just because he's so solid each week. I mean, obviously you have McCaffrey in there, but the injury factor doesn't really, I think, allow him to be part of that, unfortunately.
Right.
Devontae Adams maybe is another guy that's like sneaky good every single week.
Okay.
And then he's out now probably for the rest of his career, but Chubb would have been
right.
A guy who was good every single week. You could just bank on it.
Right. There you go. Okay. Thanks for humoring me, Ted. We're going to keep you chatting because you haven't been here for a while. Who is your sneaky start this week?
Yeah, so I was kind of rolling a little bit back and forth because I had 2 guys that I wanted to put on 2 of these lists. And honestly, I think it would have been okay to flip-flop either of them. So what I ended up going was plugging Jameson Williams into a sneaky start this week. They bumped up his suspension by a week, so he's getting into the game a little bit earlier. I know that it always takes guys a little bit, but he's been practicing with the team the whole year. I think there's plays that are built into the offense for him. And it wasn't too long ago that we were talking about guys like Josh Reynolds being viable flex starts and having big weeks versus Seattle in week 2. I know guys scour the waiver wire to look for that flex spot, and Josh Reynolds' name often comes up. He's still starting in 20 to 30% of leagues from time to time, depending on the week. So if Josh Reynolds can be that guy for Detroit, who's got a sneaky good offense with a guy that's like top 5 in explosive plays and deep plays, then I don't see why a guy like Jameson Williams can't come in and secure that spot. And if we're talking about Reynolds, imagine what Williams can do. So Jameson, I think, is going to be a guy that even if he doesn't go off this week, I think he finds a way into rosters now, being in that flex spot. If he's getting into your roster, it's probably because he's a flex player. But I think that's the type of guy that you're going to end up winning a league with if all things kick right. And he's going to be better than picking up a Reynolds or a Hollins or something like that off the waiver wire. And you kind of know what those guys' ceilings are. But we're talking about a high ceiling player here, Jameson Williams.
Are you starting him any type of league, Ted? Doesn't matter.
Specifically PPR.
Okay. So I just want to remind you all that PPR does mean points per reception. And if you happen to be in one of those crazy half PPRs, watch over the split. Yeah.
Oh, good. You got a graphic on there. Wow.
Watch over the split. That could burn you. Steve.
Now, hold on a second. I know Ted was just leading you in that for the graphic, but we are a show of informing the people, and I couldn't...
An honor.
He's not a PPR receiver, guys.
Guys, he is not a PPR receiver. Like, he's your classic new school Deshaun Watson. Like,
yeah,
you're
perfect.
hoping 2 to 3, receptions for 100 yards, and one of them goes for a bomb. I was actually reading something. I love Jameson Williams. He's an Alabama guy. I had him on my roster. I stashed him. I was thinking of using him as like a rookie keeper and stuff like that. There was something about last year. I wish I would have kept a screenshot of it. His snap share last year, even when he came back and was healthy, was like very, very minimal. So if you add Jameson Williams, I don't know about starting him right now. I might check the snap share and how much Detroit really wants to use him first. If he's your flex guy and you're looking for that boomer bust, like I know Ted loves this strategy where instead of playing it safe for 4 or 5 points out of your flex guy, he wants a guy that's going to get 15 to 20 on that kind of like boom bust start. So, but definitely don't start him like in a PPR league, hoping that you're going to get a
no.
So
to be clear, that was for Ryan. He's not a PPR receiver.
I know. So
the DJ comp is perfect, honestly, except for looks like a full-grown man. But
I'm looking at his snap share, Steve. I pulled it up from last season. So starting in week 13, 11%, 19%, 19%, 17%, 25, and 24.
So like part of that could have been that he was still getting fully healthy from that during the national champion last year. Yeah. It does worry me though. Like there's something, if you're not on the field, you can't produce, right? So if you're only getting one of every 4 snaps, I don't know, schematic thing where like I don't watch enough Lions games to know, like, are they in 11 personnel where they're gonna have Amon-Ra out there with Josh Reynolds and then Jameson Williams gets that third wide receiver, or are they more?
They use Swift last year a little bit more too, right? In kind of that pass catching option as well.
Yeah, I'm just concerned more whether he's going to be on the field as, part of the wide receiver. Like, I don't watch enough Detroit Lions football to know, like, do they play heavy 21 personnel, 12 personnel? He's probably only getting on the field right now with that 11 personnel when you have 3 wide receivers out there. So right. That's something to look into. I don't know the answer to that. If they are using a lot of 11, yeah, I might feel more comfortable starting him because he could reach that 40 kind of % snap share.
Okay. Yeah, this is a boomer bust flex start for you, right? I mean, if this guy's available on the waiver wire, you've stashed them for the year, get ready to start using him where you're supposed to use him. Yeah. If you're starting him as your 1 or 2 receiver, your team's screwed already.
Yeah, it's rebuild year.
Well done.
Yeah.
Steve, you're chomping at the bit here. You want to go?
Okay, my sneaky start of the week. What's that?
I said, would you like to start?
Yeah, I would like to start my sneaky start.
It starts. Yeah.
I picked the identical brother of Charlie Villanueva for all you basketball fans out there. Look at the resemblance of those 2 brothers.
Young Charlie.
Young Charlie.
Both from warmer areas. Both playing in warmer area. Plays Dallas and Arizona.
Charlie Dobbs and Josh Villanueva.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now they're not related at all, I don't think. But who would have thought that 28-year-old Josh Dobbs?
We didn't look into that. We didn't bother to look into that.
No, I'm quite convinced that it doesn't.
Probably
but man,
should.
could they ever pass as brothers, just kind of hanging out down the street? This is a career backup. Who would have thought that he's putting up 300 yards and 2 touchdowns against a very, very stout and difficult 49ers defense? Like, I just didn't see it. This is the 3rd straight week for Josh Dobbs to be putting up big fantasy numbers. He put it up against the Giants. I think Seattle maybe.
And I could have put up that against the Giants.
No, I think, yeah, they definitely didn't look good, but I think their defense is better than what they did show. Dallas's defense is one of the top in the league, and he's putting up numbers against them. So this week he's got a matchup of the Bengals. Watch a lot of Bengals football, and their defense should be a lot better than what it is right now, but they are giving up a lot of fantasy points to quarterbacks. Josh Dobbs is also, he's not only just throwing the ball really well, he's running. 28-year-old Josh Dobbs is putting up some good running numbers for a quarterback. I didn't know that he was a mobile quarterback, so that kind of surprised me. He's owned in just 9% of the leagues, so it could be a sleepy ad as well. He started in just 3. I know that if you're having quarterback issues, one of my leagues there before I traded for CJ Stroud, I was starting, Russell Wilson for a week and looking at the Jared Goffs. Why not give Uncle Josh a look this week against the Cincinnati Bengals?
Is he an uncle? Do you know that?
I made that part up too.
Okay.
I'm making a lot of this stuff up. I'm not going to lie.
I think it's great.
The stuff that's important I'm not making up, but a lot of the innuendos, I'm really, really fabricating things.
You know who's not Aaron Rodgers? Zach Wilson. That's my start this week. Let's be honest. If you were watching that game, it was close. It was probably closer than a lot of people thought. Zach Wilson had a pretty decent game. He made Joe Namath a believer after basically being trashed days prior. 6% owned, 1% started. So he hasn't exactly been somebody you should be starting up until now. But it looks like he's going to be the quarterback for the foreseeable future for the Jets. And he's got the Broncos this week. I think he could easily put up 20 points on the Broncos. They do have some targets. They're coming off a hot week where, they lost, but that game was good. That was an exciting game to watch, and their offense was definitely firing. There was even a Mecole Hardman sighting. But you want to make sure that if you've got an opportunity to get some points, if you're streaming a quarterback and you're desperate, Zach Wilson's not a terrible start this week. And the Broncos, they're not great. It's going to probably be the same type of game, lower caliber for sure. But why not give it a go? If Breece Hall maybe gets going, he gets a little an RPO. I've been watching football, guys. RPO. Or maybe, I'm not going to say he's going to go for a read option, but you know what? Try him out. See what happens. What's the worst thing that can happen? You lose? If you're taking my advice, you're probably losing anyway, but give it a shot. It might work out for you.
Yeah, this is where we are in week 5, right? We're talking about shuffling in guys like Jameson Williams and Josh Dobbs and Zach Wilson, right? You're just trying to find points is what you're doing, right? And who's ever playing, who's ever got a hot hand, who's ever going to be starting, that's where your money's going, right?
Yeah. So anyway, Zach Wilson, he's a decent looking guy. Give him a try. New York City.
Did you see how sad he looked on the sideline? There's that video where he's just like, I lost us the game, man. And the boys are like, dude, you didn't lose us the game. We should have won the game. You're not the greatest, but you didn't lose the game.
It wasn't your fault specifically. Yeah.
Maybe
not the greatest.
He didn't have him.
You didn't lose us the game
like that. And they're like, okay, you're used to losing, but you're not used to not having him on after the game. So here you go, bud.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's get into the last one. We don't have any fantasy questions from the group. That's okay. It means we can get through the show. But if people got questions, hey, we're here. We got the smart people here. And by that, I mean me and the other 2 guys.
Chris isn't here.
Chris is also not here. I apologize. But we are going to have him in spirit. We're getting to sleepy ads. Dude, I need a snoring sound or something.
Maybe this is why I like the sleepy ads, because it's the sleepy ads and it's this picture.
It's good. That was a moment. That was a good time. Man, I really wish he would have kept sleeping though. That would have been so much better. we had some good stuff planned that day. Probably wouldn't have benefited Chris whatsoever. Let's get into let's see. Steve, you want to go first?
See Steve go.
Sure, why not? I'll go first.
Make it happen, man. Add someone.
I think
sleepily.
this is the first time in the history of the show that a Thanos star can also be your sleepy ad for the week. So I'm
That's
going
not true.
right back to my.
I've done it.
It's not,
I've done it.
well, way to make
Don't
me
lie.
look dumb in the chat. I was like, "Hey, boys, is this okay?" And you're like, "I guess so." Like, fine. I'm going right back to Sarah McLaughlin's younger brother, Jaleel. He's
I
my
remember him.
fantasy. Yeah, my fantasy Thanos star turned into star for your squad. It brought into the leagues. I don't know who
Way to
picking him up
slip.
for Fonte injury.
That's true. Yeah, makes you think.
Yeah.
Eh? That makes you think.
I
Like, who had him anyway?
The injury. Most people had Samajay. I don't know.
Peppers.
Sure. Perrine, Peppers.
Samajay
It's all the
Peppers.
same, really. He got a large share of the snaps over Samajay, and I think they would rather go to I can't even say it straight. I think they would rather go to a younger guy with Javonte out. I was looking to see what the injury was. I didn't even really look into it. It says hip, not expected to miss much time, but guess what? You might be at the week. We are in bye week right now. Maybe you are a running back short and you're like, I just need this dude for 1 week. I wouldn't go and blow the fab on him. I mean, I don't have any in any of my leagues because I said what my strategy was of just
Spend
getting
early.
rid of early for us like a star. But maybe you throw a couple bucks just to make sure you get this guy for this week. Obviously, keep an eye on injury updates. If Javonte is coming back, I would say don't spend any fab, but maybe you just want to add him as like a possible in case this injury lingers throughout the season. So Jaleel McLaughlin,
Jaleel White?
Jaleel something.
Urkel? Call him Urkel. That's going to be his nickname, Urkel. When he scores a touchdown, he's like, did I do that? That'd be actually pretty awesome.
They throw instead of Skittles, they throw like little cheese puffs.
Oh. I could get behind that. Okay, I'm going to go up here. So you guys, where's the helmet? I'm going to bring this back here for a little bit. This is a Houston Texans apparently sponsored show this week. No free ads, but we're willing to do a free ad to get a paid one. I've been talking about this fella last couple of weeks, and I think it's finally time that we take a notice to a young Dalton Schultz of the Houston Texans. So you guys, you're going to be like, Ryan, we've heard this story before. Made the big play about the Cowboys tight end Ferguson the other week. So 46% owned, 15% started. Is the Texans offense finally going? I'm not sure if this is a trustworthy ad, but I'm sleepy right now, so it does fit the bill. Even though Stroud isn't targeting Schultz, Singletary is, and that counts. As we've said, we're going to a bye week starting this week, and me and Dalton go way back when he was fantasy relevant. He might be a decent ad if we see Stroud start using his tight ends, and Dalton knows how to catch the ball. It's an ad. It's sleepy.
You guys go way back.
We go way back, man.
Like babies and pacifiers.
Dude, 2 peas in a pod. So go at your boy Dalton if you got
I'm really confused with the Texans' usage of Dalton Schultz. Like, I think he's one of those tight ends that proved to be like a safety blanket, that reliable guy on third down. Stroud hasn't really needed him, but I'm just looking at Schultz's snap percentage, and it's gone down every single week. Yet his rank
which is crazy,
gone up almost every single week. So I don't know, like maybe the game against Pittsburgh, because he got into the end zone, like maybe you can start trusting him a little more. He got some extra yards. Really favorable matchup in Atlanta. It's in the Dome. good weather. I think it's not only a sleepy ad, but maybe that sneaky start as well, because we've been talking about the wasteland of fantasy football. But be warned, you are adding and starting a Ryan recommendation, which means it will be wrong.
Guys, I told you to start Najee year one.
I think this was the one that he's been right on numerous times, though. Yeah, you're right. They just don't. Nobody seems to want to feature him, right, in any kind of way. Even if he's like the number 3 target, he's not. And all numbers suggest that he could be quite easily.
He was old reliable with Dak, though. I just don't get it. Like he is a fantasy relevant tight end if he's being used. Yeah. Like he was. That's why they would have picked him up. Otherwise, I mean, Jerry, who ever knows what he's doing? He just features a new guy every time. But I mean, Dalton Schultz was relevant when things were going over there in Dallas, so I don't see why this couldn't be a thing. So I'm not going to exactly be championing this guy's cause, but at the same time, I think it's a legitimate ad. Like, again, we're week 5 now. Things are getting serious. So none of the, I didn't blow my fab on, a few of the other guys like the Fords of the world. I didn't get in on that action. I didn't get on a chain there. So, I've got him just sitting on my bench. I think I drafted him though too. So I was hoping that kind of would carry over. And maybe it will. And maybe I've got a tight end as a backup, when bye weeks become a thing for, I don't even remember who my other tight end. Doesn't really matter. I'm winning games, so it doesn't matter. So,
I think it's another one of those things. Like I've only watched, I watched the one Texans game when they played the Ravens, but as a rule, I don't really go out of my way to look into Texans stuff. But I just wonder if with D'Amico Ryans under the helm, and I don't even know who their offensive coordinator is, like, do they just not rely on featuring the tight end? Like Robert Woods looks like his career's been reinvigorated. Like they're looking his way. Nico Collins looks like a true number 1. Tank Dell looks like a rookie steal. Yeah, like you might be putting him on pace with cousin Puka there. So like, do they just feature those wide receivers? They've got John Mechie waiting kind of in the helms. Like I don't know. That would be a great question. Like if there's any of our listeners, I would love to know if like do you guys watch Houston Texans stuff, and if you do, like, why aren't they using a tight end?
Man, I love that JJ Watt. He's so good. He doesn't play there anymore.
A decade ago.
Yeah, man, Andre Johnson, that guy's wicked awesome.
Oh, he was wicked awesome.
He was wicked awesome. Ted was a mega owner of Andre Johnson all those years ago.
So when Cortland Finnegan punched him in his head and ripped his. Yeah.
I mean, this is like probably the only time anybody was ever happy from Cortland Finnegan.
Yeah, he was a mean dude. I love that
guy. Teddy,
you'd have to be if your last name was Finnegan.
That's true. Yeah. Well, kind of messed our dress up. We got Ted going with his sleepy ad.
Yeah, like I was pretty torn up on this one because I was really leaning towards Marvin Mims, who I have all sorts of love for. I think he's only rostered in like 49% of leagues, and snap share is real low, somewhere around like 25-35% per game, but he keeps going off. But I think the name of the game here, or the idea for the sleepy ad, is to just tuck someone away on your bench that like could really be somebody down the road for you. So Quentin Johnston had a couple of bad games. He's had a couple of drops. High-end starting wide receiver. He's got that, that classic big frame guy that you can pretty much ask to do anything in the offense. But after the bad games, he actually dropped below 60%. So he's back up to 65 today. So I think people are paying a little bit of attention. But if anybody in your league happens to drop a QJ, I think you got to get on there and pick him up and stash him on your roster. I don't know if he's going to figure it out in the next little bit here. I think they have the bye coming up here, but his snap share did increase over the last couple of weeks from 24% and 15%, 27% up to 51%. So the Chargers are making more of an effort now to get him in the game. And he did have, the one big game and a couple of drops. Gain in a couple of drops. But it's not like the Chargers are going to go out there and run the ball. And there is an injury to another big receiver out there. So I feel like there's going to be room for him in the future. And I think this is something that you can figure out because you can't really teach big, fast, and strong. And if you're going to tuck a guy on my bench and use him, and someone's dumb enough to drop him in my league, then you better believe that I'm going to pick him up.
Interesting.
Hey, Ryan, do you know how I know Ted didn't come on the show last week and that he didn't watch the show last week?
I definitely didn't.
Interesting.
Go
Well,
ahead.
I could use some proof.
Where was he? Oh, right.
Oh, right. I forgot.
So before I get to my roasting of Ted in that regards, this was my ad last week, Ted.
This is great. Yeah, we're on the same page.
This was my ad. I talked about how they have the bye this week so he can get up to speed.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And you were right. So last week he was your sneaky ad, right? And they've already jacked him up by another 25% snap shares. So guys on fire.
The other question we have to ask Ted, because this was a real hot topic, how take you, I guess, to
It only
get
takes
this-
one take if you just put it on shutter mode. Come on now.
We said 20.
You pay whoever that is to face away from you while you did this?
No, actually, I wasn't really paying attention to the girl in the water. But now that
Listen to this guy. Hey, could you look away while I take 26 pictures and I'll find the best one? Don't turn around. This is about me, okay? It's like, sir, this is the ocean. Who are you? You're like,
it's free.
No, have you never heard the saying, "Don't ever turn your back on the ocean"? She was just doing the right thing.
Technically, you turned your back on the ocean. If we're being
Yeah, but I was already unsure.
So not only did you turn your back on the ocean, you turned your back on this show by stealing last week's ad. I'm going to just call it right now. That's on par with the Ryan adding and starting Najee Harris in week.
Whoa.
Right up there.
Whoa. Okay. Just a second. Do I have enough product out of my hair here? Oh, guys. Yeah, guys, that's right on par. Guys, that's right on par with Ryan starting and adding.
You look like emo Peter Parker from Spider-Man 3.
I was going for what's the Gaines? What was his name? What was Garth Brooks' name? Something Gaines.
Chris Gaines.
Chris Gaines. Guys. Chris Gaines. Guys.
Take that hair off. You look like a lead.
Yeah. All right. How's that? That's better. That's good. Chris Gaines, man, takes me back to a time I don't want to remember. Well, we don't have. Yes, come on now. We don't have any questions this week. You guys have your teams figured out. No trades going on. We don't have nothing's going on. That's fine. It's fine. I get it. We're gonna get 6 questions after, and I'm gonna be really mad. Any parting words for our viewers this week, Steve?
I don't know. I was going to ask Ted if he's selling any of his players yet, because I'm ready to buy some people in your team 0-4.
Yeah, I am ready.
Okay.
Here we go. Ryan, you're excluded from that, by the way.
I just want to know what the price was for DeAndre Swift. That's all. You feel free.
I don't even have that guy. So
yeah, I know Steve does. Feel free to update me on that anytime. Still think he's worth a first overall or first rounder? Okay. Hit me up.
This was a rebuild year after trading. This was a rebuild year after trading my first 5 draft picks. So I had a couple of ideas for getting in there, but then a couple of big backs go down and I'm out of it. So yeah, it's for sale, baby.
There you go. What was that, Steve?
I was just saying, you asked what his price was, and I said very high because I don't want to give up a person to my competition, and he looks really good. And that's where you left the conversation. Just for our viewers to know. Yep, screenshot it, do what you need to do. I said the price was very high, but I'm open. I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the exact conversation here, but
I did second and what? You didn't even respond. I said what? I said second and what? Gibbs is killing me.
You want a second round pick for DeAndre Swift?
And second and isn't that how it works?
And Gibbs? Is that what you're asking?
No, I said that's not what I said.
So you just said a second.
I said second and I said Gibbs is killing me.
He wants a second plus.
Yeah,
second plus.
That's right.
Yeah. You fired me off whatever that plus is, but it's got to be
shitty.
Probably better.
Raymond Ballard in a third. How about that?
Raymond Ballard in a third, yeah.
for all of
was
our.
Was it a third or was it a second?
Yeah, I think it morphed into a second. That's fine. Ted, any parting words for this week?
You got me.
Well, that sucks. Thanks for bringing up the rear. We lose Chris, and we pretty much have zero credibility at this point.
No rear. We lose Chris, and we have no rear. Great.
That's true. This was like a pretty clean show, I think, for the most part, aside from there was something in the middle. There's something.
Chris. I could have been like, "Whoa." Because he's always sick.
Just something.
I got hit in the throat.
Flurry.
I was lacrossing. And then I got a cold. Yeah. He's at that stage where his kids just are bringing home everything. And he's just sick.
Man, we never had that kind of stuff. Like, we get hit and miss, but like I tell you, Chris every week's like, "Yep, cholera this week."
Jesus.
Cholera. Like the bubonic plague. It's like, yeah, I might not be on the show this week. I got scurvy,
measles, mumps, rubella.
Yeah, exactly. So, just a normal day in the Phillips household. So, on behalf, this is how I end the show really cleanly. On behalf of Steve, freshly tanned Ted, even though he says that he's not actually tanned, he made a point of that. It was really weird this week when that question came up. I'm
like, "You're not tanned," and so I said, "It's because this is my regular skin color."
And then he showed us his butt. It was weird.
I showed you my butt. That's not weird.
That's not weird. I've seen it before. It's fine. Is that weird that I said? No, it's not weird. Here we go. All right. Yeah, like, wow, we got like 3,000 subscribers after this show. It wasn't that even good. So, yeah, on behalf of the three of us, this is That Helps No One FantasyCast on Crier Media. Good luck this week. It's bye week, so don't forget to change out those guys that aren't starting for you this week. Otherwise, you'll be like me 2 years ago.